How's it going, everybody? This is Dominic Minchella. I am the Kansas City Chiefs beat writer on SI and the host of the Kansas City Chiefs Insider Podcast. Thank you guys so much for stopping in today. Always, I do appreciate it. Today, since we took a little segue yesterday talking about the 5 top quarterbacks that the Chiefs will be facing this season, we're going to go back to our expectations just because I feel like there's a lot to cover before the 2025 campaign. Always as a reminder, if you didn't know off the top of your head, currently the Chiefs will begin their training camp on July 21st. Super exciting stuff to come. That means that football is right around the corner, baby. Super excited to continuously cover the Chiefs this offseason in hopes that they do well throughout their campaign. So we've talked about in the past the expectations of a lot of veteran players going into the new season. That is, we've covered Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, we've covered Hollywood Brown. We've made a tough expectation and a bold prediction for Xavier Worthy, as well as touching on both the returning players who were injured last year and the first round draft pick of Josh Simmons and Rashee Rice, who's set to come back and both be ready for training camp. Today, I want to talk about the second rookie, and the expectations that I have for them going forward, and that is defensive end Ashton Gillotte. Third-round pick, early third-round pick as well of the Chiefs' 2 third-round picks. And I think very highly of Ashton Gillotte. I'm really excited to see what he can do throughout this season. From just social media videos that we've seen thus far, Gillotte has been one of the more explosive guys through mini camp and OTAs. While obviously there is no contact permitted, I am expecting big things going into training camp or throughout training camp for Gillotte. You got to keep in mind that this is a guy who has high expectations. While he was drafted in the 3rd round, being a 3rd round draft pick has turned into something way more important than it has been in years past. For example, Travis Kelce was a 3rd round draft pick, and he's bound to be a Hall of Famer one day. Now, I'm not saying that Gillotte and Kelce, they're 2 different players, very hard to compare, given that they've played different positions and they have a vast range of experience. But that being said, I think bringing Gillotte into this Kansas City defense is only going to boost his stock throughout the years that he remains. This is a guy that was projected to go, around the 3rd, 4th round. So he's around the expectation for what to expect. However, it just needs to be seen on the field. That being said, throughout his collegiate experience, through 51 games, he collected 131 combined tackles, 73 solo tackles, 26 and a half sacks, quarterback sacks, and 41 tackles for loss. A really big eye-popping statistic of this came in his junior campaign, where he collected 11 sacks and he led the conference. The Chiefs aren't getting a schmuck. They're getting a hard worker. They're getting a guy that's willing to be molded into a NFL-type defenseman, a guy who's got the God-given gift of playing football, speed's on his side. While there's obviously things that he's going to have to fix, mold, and contribute to his game to bring himself to a different level, I'm fully expecting Gillotte to be able to do so. I think that him having a previous relationship with George Karlaftis, the Chiefs defensive end as well, is only going to benefit in Gillotte's eventual climb, his rise in the organization. For example, there's a world that Ashton Gillotte could replace George Karlaftis should Gillotte show a lot in his first few seasons. And as we know, currently Karlaftis has this season in 2025, and then he's playing on a 5th-year option in 2026. Now, I'm not here saying that I think that the Chiefs are going to get rid of Karlaftis. Karlaftis has added a whole lot to the offense, the defense. And he's been a guy where they wouldn't have exercised that fifth-year option if they didn't believe in him. They went out, the Chiefs went out and added to the defensive end room in both the 2025 NFL draft as well as free agency, and yet they still exercised that option on him. He's a player that the Chiefs are seemingly thinking highly of. That's just an option. Gillotte could replace him one day. Not saying it's going to happen, but if he starts off really well, which I fully expect him to, then it's a strong probability. My expectation, I would say, going into the season, I touched on this in the past, is I think that he's going to start off as a depth piece, a depth rotational guy to get his feet wet in the NFL. But we've seen how he's improved throughout college from year 1 to year 4, and that it might not be that big of a transition or of success, a trend of success for him, for Gillotte to be able to pick up the ways of playing football in the NFL at the pro level and being successful. So much so that the Chiefs have a lot of rotational guys at the defensive end position, also a lot of guys who are on a 1-year deal. If Gillotte is able and given the opportunity to show that he's worth more than what they currently have him projected as, then I think that there's a strong probability that he's going to become a starter down the line. I think that there's going to be at least in my expectation, I'm expecting him to start bare minimum 2 games. Whether that is a high leverage game against the Eagles, I wouldn't say that. It could come in the form of, week 18, depending on how well the Chiefs do this season. If they want to rest their starters, give Gillotte that chance to kind of step forward. Week 18 is against the Las Vegas Raiders, just an FYI. Or even it could happen, say he just impresses so much during training camp, he might be able to get some reps during week 3 when they take on the New York Giants. There are ways that he can show his worth. The Chiefs have just got to give him that chance, and I'm expecting them to do so. He's a guy that they wouldn't have picked him up if they didn't believe in him. They have he's got a professional in Karlaftis being able to train him on the side. Keep in mind, they have that previous relationship with one another, as well as defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo. He's talked very highly about all of his defensive rookies. I think that there is a high ceiling for Gillotte, and I think that I'm expecting him the first season to kind of be turning the heads of Chiefs Kingdom. So, wow, did you see Gillotte out there? I know that he's a 3rd-round pick and all, but I think he has a strong probability of being one of the bigger breakouts of this draft class, so long as he has the opportunity that will be earned through training camp. That being said, ladies and gentlemen, you know the deal by now. If you've been keeping up with the podcast, if you check out the ticker down below, you can follow me over at X at Dom Minchella. I post and repost every single day. You're not going to want to miss any Chiefs coverage, as well as follow us over at KC Chiefs on SI over on X. You can also subscribe to sports videos on SI on YouTube, where all of our action gets posted. Kansas City Chiefs, as well as multiple other franchises that we cover. But with that being said, Chiefs Kingdom, I'll see you tomorrow. And remember, be kind to one another. Bye.